Remain in the Race podcast, brought to you by 88 Live to Ride, with your hosts, Ryan Havens, Daniel Hillian, and Mitch Reynolds, where we're going to discuss all things family, life, racing, and outdoors, where all glory will be given to the one who created us.
You're listening to episode 35, and this one is going to be dynamite. We have the BTR champion, the women's class champion of the NE-EDT series, third place in the Pro Light Championship, the one, the only, Lil Torch, Mel Torchio, joining us tonight on Remain in the Race, episode 35. It is going to be good. Just to hear about her season, what got her into racing, the awesome BTR payout. Mel is a fantastic young lady, a great example for the sport, and just an awesome interview. And so before we dive off too far into this, got to give it out to all the sponsors. Of course, RJR, 88 Live to Ride, 110% nutrition. And the man across from me, not wearing the headband tonight, still rocking the Crush shirt, it's Mitchell the Rocket Reynolds. How you doing tonight, Mitch?
I'm doing good. I just got my 2 chains on too, baby. But yeah, I dropped the headband, Crush shirt. Give you and Landon something to talk about.
Oh my goodness!
But I'm still not going to let y'all live down the fanny pack. Okay?
Yeah, fanny pack. That was great. And then of course my dad finds some cartoon on Facebook and posts, and we were even laughing about it Sunday.
I was getting a good laugh out of that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, a couple things right off the top from last episode. I made a mistake. Shocker. Still no track, right? Still not building the track.
Still not building the track.
Still not building the track.
Is this a question? Still not building a track.
All the things that I have to, we say, and then I have to walk back because I said them wrong. But
do you say things wrong?
Well, I said that they went to Iowa.
Maybe people miss here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not. Okay.
Maybe not.
So give us a correction.
The Midwest Series did not race in Iowa this year. They raced.
And you said that?
I did. I was talking somewhere in there.
Oh, they were scheduled to go to Iowa at one point,
yes.
And then some rescheduling. Okay, yes.
And they went to Bellevue. And so...
No, they didn't go to Bellevue. They went to Belleville.
Belleville.
B-E-T.
I have a good friend that lives in Now, which one did they go to? Belleville or
They
Bellevue?
went to Belleville. So Bellevue is a big church in Memphis.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Okay. I have a friend.
I mean, Midwest, we should go there.
Is it just outside of St. Louis, the track?
Yes, it is.
Belleville.
Right, yes. Belleville, you go right across the river and wind around, and it's in Belleville, Southern Illinois.
I don't know why I keep saying Bellevue. Was it Fairfield?
Yes, Fairfield, Iowa.
Fairfield
was scheduled, but did not go there.
Went to Belleville.
Correct. Illinois.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so man, we had some great conversation in the last episode. Again, we're going to get to the Mel Torchio interview. She did an awesome job. But man, I think we've kind of got some traction on a potential, absolutely. Midwest needs to stay the Midwest. NE needs to stay the NE series.
So hold on.
Yep.
Before we get much further, okay, just a little clarification on the post put out there.
Yes.
There's a song that goes along with, and I'm not asking you to sing it, but, maybe we could play it or something of that nature. Mm-hmm. We're throwing this out here as a joke. We weren't pointing fingers at the Midwest. We're not pointing fingers at the NE-EDT. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to say, hey, let's work together in some capacity. So we're not asking for a consolidation of the series. That's not what we were going for at all. We were just bringing a conversation piece, and we thought, that this song would be fitting to just kind of mesh the relationship a little bit for maybe what is sparking in the future. So we don't want to break news just yet, but some stuff is getting some ground.
We don't break news.
That's right.
Give me just a second to pull up the song where I am referring to. But yeah, where was I going with that?
Well, you were going to look up the song, but what we were saying, like, we're just trying to start a conversation of, like, it's end of the year. You kind of review what has happened through the season and maybe what we could do as a sport to continue to grow it, continue to push it forward, continue to make things better. Like what, and that's all we were throwing out there. What are thoughts of just taking this sport and just making it explode, because we don't want it to just only continue. We want it to continue to grow and to flourish, and to be something that people seek out. Like, we love this sport, and all the families that are involved. And the sport has given me so much. It's given Daniel so much. So many other people can say the same thing, but we want it to continue to grow and succeed. And, if it ever could get to a point where there's some TV exposure or things like that, like, we would be 100% on board. And that's what we are here as media guys, to bring exposure to the individuals involved in this sport, the families that are part of it, and what makes this whole thing go around. Super D, you got us over there, buddy.
I got it. Give me just a second.
Okay. Oh, we're still getting a second. So I was talking about what our focus is here at Remain in the Race and pushing this, ATV racing world forward.
So here we go. The song I was referencing in the post, coming to you live. The 1975 hit.
Why can't we be Okay. Awesome.
There you go.
Awesome. So that's
I meant
what he
it
was
kind
saying.
of as a joke, and that's my bad. I should know that not everybody gets my humor, and that's okay. But the thing is, like,
Super D is never confrontational, guys.
No.
You got to understand. This guy is the encourager.
That's me.
The supporter. He's always ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not confrontational whatsoever. So
No, not
he
my
didn't
jam.
mean it that way at all. No.
No. And so, yeah, and I even, I went back and I've listened to it because I'm like, did I say something? And I definitely was like, hey, I'm not saying we need to do away with the series. The series they're great. It was just like, hey, I think, it was kind of like a what if, like, hey, what if we did this? How about this? And I've, spoke to both sides, and they're like, hey, man, we're good. We've kind of already been maybe, I don't know, trying to work something out. So
we don't break news here.
we don't break news, but when it
things
happens,
are happening. Things are moving in the right direction.
They absolutely are, man.
So
and it's exciting to
stay
to be
tuned
part of.
in, listeners.
Yeah, faux show. So, hey, we've been at it for about, according to my clock up here,
Well, too long.
too long. How about we jump into a little
Hey,
interview with Mel Torchio? What do you say?
Yeah, and then are we going to highlight a little NE-EDT at the end?
Let's do it, man.
Let's do it, baby.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's jump in, hear what Mel Torchio has for us, and we'll be back in just a minute. So y'all stay with us. From top-of-the-line athletes to weekend warriors, 110% Nutrition has the supplements, the knowledge you need to take your fitness to the next level. They are now the title sponsor of the NE-EDT series for the 23 season and work with some of the top pros in the sport like Aaron Medlin, Brad Riley, and Amateur Rider of the Year Tanner Terry. Check them out on the web today and make sure to use our code REMAIN at checkout for a discount. Work with the guys that support the sport that we all love. 110% Nutrition.
All right. We've got Melissa Torchio, a.k.a. Mel, a.k.a. Lil Torch, number 301, hailing from New York, the 5-time women's champ over in the NE-EDT, the most recent winner of the BTR Fastest Woman TT Shootout. Mel, how's it going?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
So, Mel, tell us about yourself. Who is Mel off of the racetrack?
Well, I guess the biggest part of my life right now is I'm in college at Binghamton University, upstate New York, studying environmental science. And then on my free time, I just like to ride and go racing on the weekends.
So with riding, is it primarily only quads, or do we do some dirt bike action? What all kind of riding do you do?
I ride pretty much anything that I can get my hands on, but that just tends to end up being ATVs.
Awesome. So I looked up some pictures and saw where you were on a dirt bike before. Now, many years ago, was that flat track or was that the MX world?
That was flat track. That was my dad's attempt to get me to flat track. He flat tracked bikes his whole life, and he really wanted me to get on a bike. I tried it for a little while, and the quads just stuck with me better.
Oh, that's awesome. I've witnessed a little bit of the flat track dirt biking, and that is absolutely wild. We were down there in Florida, and I believe it was the quarter mile they were running, and the guys are tucking their shoulder and just almost scraping the wall. It was pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So you're studying environmental science. What is your plan with that? What are you going to do with your environmental science degree?
I'm not quite sure yet what the plan is. I have like a vague idea that I like to work. When I'm at home, I like to go hunting and fishing with my dad. So I like to be outside and I like dealing with animals. So I was hoping to get into something like that. I'm not exactly sure what career that ends up pointing to, but I figured this is a good place to start.
Very cool. I bet y'all have beautiful property up there in upstate New York. It is. I mean, I bet hunting, fishing, all the above is great, just like here in the state of Arkansas.
It's great. I don't really have any siblings, so I spend a lot of time. I have a half sister, but she's a lot older than me, so I'm basically an only child. So I spend a lot of time with my mom and dad, so we're like basically best friends, even better than that for blood related. And racing's just something that I share with them. We all love to do. We love to go camping. It works out perfectly for us. Yeah, and my dad's the one who introduced me to it. Like I said before, he raced dirt bikes his whole life and side hacks, and he liked dragging too. So that got me into it. And then, of course, my mom is super reluctant.
Hey, what is a side hack?
Oh, so it's like a dirt bike, but they mount this like platform on the one side of it, and you basically ride. You've got one person on the dirt bike and one person on the platform helping you lean into the turn. So it's a two-man job. From what I understand, he used to do it with his brother, and it sounds really funny.
That sounds awesome. I've seen the sidecar racing that they do with the Quad Cross of Nations. So it sounds somewhat similar to that. And that sounds like that would be freaking awesome.
Yep.
So Mel, he introduced you into racing. It was originally the dirt bike world, then move over to the ATVs. What is it that has captivated you so much about ATV racing? Like, what is it that hooked you in?
I think it ended up being TT at the end of the day, because I had been doing flat track racing. I tried it with the dirt bike. I did it with the quad. And then the second I started TT, which is not really available for dirt bikes as much as I know. And the NE-EDT series, when it started, it really hooked me in. I love the fast pace racing, but also like that it's got the kind of like technical jumps going on. I think it just makes it a little more fun than just going in a circle. And yeah, since then I just stuck with the ATVs, especially with the series continuing to put on races. As long as they put on races, I'm going to show up. So
show up and show out. I mean, you have had a lot of great finishes, Mel. I mean, you've had our attention since we've been back around the sport, paying attention and everything. So y'all make a family affair of it. That's one thing that we re-highlight here at Remain in the Race often is this racing is all about family. It's built of families. It's you get extended families there at the races. So who are those people who are really close to you at the races? Who are your extended family here at the races?
Well, we have we used to do this like team. I forgot what the NEAT would call it. It was like this team points thing where you put a amalgamation of all your points together, and at the end of the year there would be this team competition. And so when that first happened, we made this thing called the 845 gang, because there's two families that we've always raced with our whole, like almost my whole career together with, that we all live pretty close to each other. It's the Doraks, which like Dylan Dworak, he's racing the pro class.
Yeah.
And Kenny Phillips, who's in like A and College Boy right now. We make up the 845 gang, and we always reference it on Facebook, and it's super funny. And I it's always so fun to show up to the races all the way down in, North Carolina, even though we live 10 minutes from each other, and hang out there.
The 845 gang. I love it. That is awesome. So share with me, Mel, to this point at the races, what is your greatest memory?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, honestly, is these last couple races that have just felt like so glorious, like the that big Pro-Am short track race and this last BTR race. It just doesn't feel like real, and it's just so exciting. And this is like something I worked my whole racing career to get up to. So honestly, I think, there's all the fun little memories, but these big memories really stick out to me.
I was so pumped for you on the short track. Like, I saw Super D that next day, and I said, "Did you see who won the Pro-Am Spec short track?" I was so excited for you. So that is awesome. You're a top-notch racer. But one thing that I think is really unique is kind of the relationship that you ladies seem to have off of the track, like just hugging and loving on each other. And I mean, you're our top competitors. And it's not that guys don't have appreciation for one another, but the bond y'all seem to have off of the racetrack appears to be awesome. Is that really the way it is, or is that just an appearance thing?
No, that's really the way it is. And I think it comes a lot of like, we kind of have to band together. As you know, there's just a smaller amount of women in the sport than there are of men. So we tend to kind of band together and create our own little family where we support each other. And I love that. That's my favorite part of showing up to these races, is be able to, beat up on each other on the track and then come right off and give each other hugs like nothing ever happened. So
that is too awesome. And so have any of the women in the women's class been your mentor at all?
Yeah, absolutely. When I first started, my biggest mentor was Paula. Yeah, which makes sense. I looked up to her a lot. She was just whooping everyone on the track, and then she'd go out and Pro-Am, which I thought was insane. Having a woman out there, knowing that that's something I can do one day, was a huge thing to look up to. And I just remember the first time I got on the podium with her, and I was like, this is awesome. I've worked my way up to get here. And she's just only ever been super supportive and helpful to me. So yeah, I would say she's my biggest mentor. But even all the other ladies who are a little older than me, they kind of paved the way for the women's class and made it easy for me to come in. They're super friendly. So yeah, they're all kind of mentors in a way.
And I know we're highlighting the women's class, but I mean, 3rd overall in Pro Light, that is a stellar season, and super proud of you for that. But hey, fun fact about the women, we were talking about how y'all have had a full lineup, and it seems like there's 20 riders at every race. So in the NE, you have actually had 32 total different women entered through 8 rounds. That is pretty awesome, because I can remember back to a time when it was hard to have 8 to 10, really, even when it seemed like the sport was really happening. So to have 32 different riders over the course of the season that just tells what the state of the sport is. And especially in the women's class, it is stout, and the competition is awesome.
Yeah, I've been so excited about the turnout, and even looking at the youth classes, I've been amazed at the amount of little girls that are coming up throughout the youth classes and pushing through to the women's classes. It's been super exciting.
Mel, when we were at
Black Ankle,
yeah, there was I think it was the 90 class, the DRR, the DERS, and there was this one, and I could tell there was a ponytail coming out the back, and I said, Mitch, watch this one right here. And this little girl just launches one of the tabletops, and I was just like, oh my goodness, that is amazing. I think is it Kinley?
Kinley Reed.
Kinley Reed.
She is our favorite.
And I'm her number one fan.
You
dude.
are, for sure.
And when we were at Bud's Creek, she's like, hey guys, how are you? And I was like, it took me a minute. I was like, Kinley, hey, how are you? And so, man, that's got to be exciting, just because, like you looked up to Paula, and even when we had her on, she was sharing, she said, man, it's so cool to see, because at one time Paula was you and you were Kinley. And now there's kind of, 3 generations of seeing that. Man, that's got to be super awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. And every year these little girls, like just all the youth get faster and faster. Like I remember I started off on my little Baja 50, lugging around the track, and these kids are skirting around in these quads that were faster than my 90 at the time. And they're just ripping around the track, and I'm so impressed with the little girls. They're awesome.
Yeah, and I know there's more out there than just Kinley, but man, she launched that tabletop and just kept on going, and I was like, I need to get this little girl's autograph. She's gonna be somebody someday. So that's definitely exciting to see, just of all the ladies that have come in. And I mean, and what's cool is like Mitch was saying, even in pro light, like 3rd overall in pro light. And I think Paula races a couple other classes. I believe, Tori races a couple other classes. I mean, it's not just get into the women's class and settle in. I mean, y'all are all mixing it up in all kinds of different levels, and that's exciting.
Yeah, I think that's what makes the women's class so cool, is just we come from all different kinds of classes. There's really no like requirement for skill. So I think it just mixes it up and makes it super awesome and fun and competitive. So.
And you pretty much followed that philosophy all the way. As soon as you move into the amateur ranks, correct? You move right into the C class or maybe the B class, but you've always raced a class other than the women's class, correct?
Right. Yep.
So you've been racing since you were 4 years old. Is that correct? So
about then.
You've pretty much lived your life racing. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So give us a little insight into this past weekend. The big highlight of the weekend was the BTR, the Brandy Tulu's fastest woman TT shootout. But explain to me how all of that went down, or from your perspective, how it all happened.
Well, I came in super excited, but also really nervous. Just because I knew there were really high expectations, and I had high expectations for myself as well. And it was kind of pulling me away from, I was focusing a lot on the BTR race, almost more than, I forgot that we showed up and we have like an actual NEAT race to run.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It's still fun. And Brandy was just doing everything she could to make everything super fair and organized. And I was just getting so pumped at the same time for all the ladies who were showing up. We didn't know how many people were registered until Friday morning. Brandy posted it. So that was every second of the day, something exciting was happening. Posting the different prizes and stuff.
And before you get too much further into it, kind of walk us through how that worked, because I was watching the live feed. I was probably supposed to be watching Campbell, and I think she escaped from the house and was like in the neighbor's yard or whatever. It's fine. She's 3. She'll be okay. But I saw someone, because Eric's talking on the live feed, shout out to Eric Ashcraft, and I was watching in the comments, and someone was like, well, why don't they just line up from how they finished in the heat race? But that's what Brandy, like you're saying, Brandy wanted to make it as fair as possible. And so kind of walk us through, how did you get your gate pick for the heat race? And then how did you get your gate pick for the main?
Okay. So for the heat race, it was totally randomized from what I understand. So I had 8th pick out of the 8th heat. She didn't want it. Brandy didn't want it based on, the NEAT points. It's supposed to be completely
right.
separate. So I had 8th gate pick for the heat. It was totally random. Then there was 3 heats. You run your heats, and at the end of the heats, based on what you place, is the order that we picked out of a bag of 20 chips for our gate pick in the main. So the heats were really just more for qualifying, I think, and then also to kind of organize how we're going to do the chip picks. So at the end of the day, you could have totally blew the heat and
still drew
picked it. Right, exactly.
Okay, so
which I think is cool.
Oh, I do too. I think it's one of those deals. Well, I could see some people being like, well, you shouldn't even just save what you have for the main. But it's like, but if I get first in the heat, then that I have the probability of me getting a better chip or higher, because I think Bailey Thomas, she finished pretty good in her heat, but then drew like 20th chipper or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's on the back row, and I was just like, oh man, but that's that's the luck of the draw. That's what makes it exciting, I guess, or risky or scary. I don't know.
All kinds of things. Yeah, all kinds of feelings.
All the things. Yeah.
So I know that y'all had to postpone the main, like you got a few laps in, but had to postpone it because of a accident. Fortunately, it seems that all the riders are okay in some capacity, at least. Like they're okay. But what was this running race that y'all had to do? You all have boots on. You're
yeah, and like the full, like all the way to the whole shot line. Like, what was that about? And whose idea was it? Because they should be fired.
So I think all the girls were just so riled up. Like, I think we all got in the headspace ready to race, and obviously that was a tragedy happened when somebody had to get life flighted out. So we're waiting and there's no lights at the track. So by the time we were going to get the ambulance back, they decided that there wasn't going to be enough time before sundown to run the race so that we're not racing in the dark. So of course everyone is antsy. There's people standing all over the place. And to be honest with you, I don't know who said it or proposed it, but someone was like, can we just run? And I don't know if they meant like, can we just run like the actual race? But I think Brandy took it as, can we do a foot race?
Yeah,
and
Brandy,
she's like,
you get in here and run on foot.
Yeah. So she was like, I'll put $400 up to the first person to run to the whole shot line. And I was like, holy cow, that's a long way to go. But like, I'm not gonna not run for $400. So
yeah.
They put us all on a line. She's like, you got to race in your boots.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna do it, I was like, are they gonna make them wear their helmets too? Like, I could just see someone running down the straightaway, like pulling a tear off. Like, that's what I was hoping for.
That was too awesome.
I mean, on top of wheeler racing, I mean, I thought like there was some ultimate frisbee, what's that called? Cardio that was going to kick in there. And I guess it paid off.
Yeah, right. It did, definitely.
That was good. Got another win. Hey, so Chad used to make us do that when we were training MX.
Oh.
Okay. He'd be like, you run your moto and then you get off from your moto. And sometimes even with your helmet on, then you have to run a lap around the MX track in full gear. Yeah. It's why the man's an animal.
Okay.
But
I know you can't, like, I can see Melissa on the screen right now. You can't. And she's shaking her head like she's into it. Why would you do that? Like, go cycling or something. There's other ways to get in shape than running around a motocross track with your gear on.
I 100% agree. But, if a man says to do it, you can't pass up on the challenge. Just like Mel said,
yeah.
I mean, it's $400. I mean, I wasn't running for money, but anyway, she's like, I'm going to make it happen. So
I'm also not a multi-time, motocross champion either. Maybe that's why.
There you go.
Man, it was awesome. And so you win your heat race, get last pick. I think you were up against kind of the fence there. Is that right, Melissa?
Oh boy. Trying to remember.
I know you've had a lot of race. Let's just say you had 8th pick. Let's just roll on. Okay. So you had 8th pick. You ended up, did you win the heat? Is that correct?
Yes.
So win the heat. That gives you a good odds on the chip draw for the main. You ended up getting it was a front row chip, I believe. Is that correct?
Yep.
And then just put your head down and man, so Tori McCoy, she got and I was like, like she's checking out. But one thing that was cool about the BTR race, y'all had to take the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I'm watching, like Tori's, I mean, she's holding a pretty good gap. And I was like, here we go. And then I'm watching and I'm listening to Eric and it's okay. In first, Tori McCoy, Paula quit. And then I don't know if Eric's paused, but I panicked and I'm like, did Melissa spin out? Did Melissa break down? Like what happened? And it was like, Joker lane. And that seemed to be the key. And that's what got you to the front.
Yeah, the Joker lane was a super fun twist that also made me feel more comfortable if I picked a second row spot, because right. I feel like if you time it right, you can come out with, a free track ahead of you and you can just put down some hot laps. So yeah, I was excited about that.
You timed it perfectly too. I know that in that race, there was that little bit of split line. It seemed that you were really trying to challenge her in there, but just couldn't quite get it done. It seemed that the lines weren't quite even. But then when the Joker came into play, he played it perfectly and took it home. So it was awesome.
Yep, it was great.
I mean, even in the Joker line's just a cool feature of racing in general. I know that, they don't make, every class do it, but I always thought that was cool that Brandy was like, hey, let's mix this in too. And so, hey, it paid off. It worked out. So what was your thought when you see the white flag, knowing as long as I keep this thing together, and you've won plenty of races, Melissa, when did the cash start coming into your head? Right off the gate? Was it lap 3? Like, when did you just start going, what am I going to buy? Like, when did that set in?
I was honestly trying to completely forget about it, because the second you start racing for, something other than just trying to do your best, or, you start racing silly. And I've made that mistake before. So I tried to put it out of my head that was even, an option. So when it really hit me was probably when Brandy handed me a $5K and, $100 bills. Yeah.
Maybe this is why I've never excelled, because I'm thinking, like, if I'm in the lead and it's like 3 to go, I'm just going, oh, here we go. Maybe I got a lot to learn. That's a great lesson, Melissa, for all the younger ones out there that are, getting distracted by, the other things going on, but being mentally tough, that's a big part of this sport. And I think you did a great job of explaining that. That's awesome.
You see these fingers here?
Yes.
So I'm holding up 5 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's why she's a 5-time champion.
That is
with
true.
a mentality like that. You go out and you have fun, you perform, you do your best, and the 5,000 was just icing on the cake.
That is true.
Although I probably would have been taking my money too, though.
I'm just saying. That's awesome. Okay, Melissa, when we I don't remember if this was at Bud's or Black Ankle, but I need to ask you a question about this machine you're riding. It is a hybrid, but it's not a hybrid like everyone else would think, because you've got a TRX chassis, but there's something else other than a Honda power plant. So what did you go with? I mean, I don't need like the specs of the engine or anything. I mean, good grief, if you want to tell us, I don't think anybody listens to this podcast anyway. I mean, you can give us the details, but what made you go the route you did, knowing that there may only be a few others on the planet like what you have? So why did we do that?
Yeah. So if people didn't know, I have the YFZ power plant in the TRX frame. And to be completely honest, that's just how we bought it. So, we didn't do the conversion or anything. We were just looking to upgrade. I was running an 05 TRX. So we're looking to upgrade something, fuel injected and electric start, something nice for me. And it was a pro build. So we knew it was something put together the right way. And so it just seemed like the clear answer was on the market, and that's what we went with.
Yeah, well, coming up back in the day, but even before, and Mitch, you'll remember this, Melissa, you probably weren't even alive, but back in the day, if you wanted a stout 4-stroke, you had to build a hybrid. But Honda didn't really have any, like, I think they had like a 650 a lot of desert guys were using, but the hot ticket back in the day was the YZ. It was 400, then the 426, and then that's when Honda released the CRF, and then everybody jumped in then. But that's what we had. My brother raced. It was a 400EX chassis with a Yamaha in it. So Dad's had a couple builds like that, and so that's what it's always just a little close to the heart when you got the YZ power plant inside the Honda chassis. So anyways, I was like, I gotta find out, like, did y'all build it? But you bought it that way.
Correct.
Nice. Any plans for updating that moving forward? Or, I mean, it's obviously doing pretty good, so keep what we got and freshen it up a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think it's been running great. I really like the TRX, the frames and chassis. Like I just like the way it feels. I can't really see myself moving to another manufacturer in that department. So I really can't see myself riding anything different at this point.
Unless we had the right offer. If we
Right,
had,
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Yamaha, we know a girl. We know a good rider.
Yep.
A good representative of the sport.
Yep.
Somebody is up for the Hoosier. I don't know what's that.
Yeah, talk to us about that, Melissa. So of all the EDT world, you from all of the everyone on the East Coast get selected for this thing, along with a guy kind of close to where we are here in Arkansas, Mr. Garrett Keister. So tell us about that. How did that come to be? That is such a cool honor.
Yeah, honestly, it was a total surprise to me. So I saw like a few posts on Facebook about the Hoosier Hero thing, and I didn't look into it just because it seemed like another one of those like big car, like sprint car, NASCAR type things where they focus on those guys. And all of a sudden I get a call from one of the Hoosier marketing people, and they're like, "Hey, like you made it, you got nominated top 25, you were top 25 of the nominations, and you're moving on to the next voting round." And I'm like, whoa, what the heck? So I look it up, and it's this really awesome program where they kind of have like a voting situation for people who are supposed to be like good representatives of the sport. I guess they're Hoosier heroes. And I was like super honored that somebody, because no one in my family knew what it was. So somebody out there, or a couple people must have nominated me for it. And, I'm super thankful for them. That's awesome. So we're in the voting round right now.
Yeah, awesome. And we're pushing for votes for both of you. That is for sure.
Yeah. Anytime you see like a big company like that, like I'm the same way. I'm like, oh, it's sprint cars or late models or something. Cause
Right.
I mean, that is a big part of their brand. But then I was like, wait, I recognize two of these people. Like that is awesome to be part of that. And again, you think about all the people that race and that watch and are part of it and are buying Hoosier tires. Like that's pretty awesome, Melissa, that you got selected. But hey, again, 5-time champ.
That's right.
That'll do it.
It's pretty cool. There's a person within the industry that says that you are one of the top representatives of sponsors in our sport. So that is pretty cool. And this person has been around the sport a while, does a lot within the sport. So to have your name mentioned, not only as a Hoosier Hero finalist, but also as a person who probably represents what ATV racing is better than most others, that is quite the honor. And so kudos for that, Mel.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Well, Mel, I think we're getting ready to wrap this up. I can't thank you enough for giving us some time tonight. I know you're diving into probably some organic chemistry there as you study and prepare for whatever a Tuesday at Binghamton.
Binghamton. Yep.
Yeah. You have to forgive Super D.
Struggling.
I
don't know
Binghamton.
words.
Oh, I can't do it either. I'm sorry. These Arkansans. I mean, we're
You got it.
Yeah.
I mean, can we go BU for short?
Yep, that's perfect.
Oh, that's perfect. All right, cool.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Well, sweet BU.
BU. Well, Melissa, I can't thank you enough. Before we get out of here, what does the off season look like? Is Brandy talking you in to do any of that, crazy ice racing stuff, or what do you kind of have up your sleeve for this off season?
It's always something different. I just try to keep riding. Ice hasn't always, appealed to me too much. They look like they're getting dizzy out there. I love to watch it. I don't know if I'd be able to get on the track. If the opportunity ever struck, of course I would go ride. But to me it looks more like just working out.
Yeah, we'll just hit Trent Powell in the shin. I know he's going to be riding one of the brand machines. So, and Trent's old. I talked to him the last one. I was like, I got to take some ibuprofen. I'm hurting. But I'm like, hey, I got a bottle. I'll hook you up, brother. But hey, if you ever want to do it, yeah, just make sure Trent doesn't show up, and there you go. What was the ice skaters that did that? That got her with? Anyways,
I don't know. You're chasing rabbits here. I have no idea where you're going.
Yeah. We'll get there. So never mind. Hey, Melissa, who do you want to give a big shout out to, and who can we recognize on the pod for getting you to where you are?
Oh, definitely. So yeah, huge huge thank you to Dasa Racing and Lonnie Ebby. All these people are getting me up on the top of the podium and everything. Brandy, of course, has been a huge trackside help and support. Fly, 75 Designs, Wrath, Weisco. Huge thanks again to PEP and Nate McNett, another huge help on trackside, and LS4. All these people have been helping me out. It's really a game changer as we've been having people join our program, and especially the trackside support, even just, the mental support. It's just totally been a game changer to my program. So thank you guys so much for sticking with me and putting me up top.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. And I'm sure mom and dad are going, yes, more sponsors. We love it.
Yeah.
I mean, Mitch has been there. I've been there too when mom and dad are helping foot the bill. And I mean, you do have a little bit now, a little cash on hand to help go towards next year's races and stuff. So that's got to be nice too.
Exactly.
I mean, could I interest you in some Roth IRAs? You going to invest it? You going to put it in a coffee can and bury it in the yard? Like, is it already... I know a lot of times I'm holding stuff and I'm like, what would I do? Oh, this is already spent. Like this is already going towards something else. Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to go put it into Brandy's YFZ raffle, and Dad's like, yeah, it's gas money. I'm like, okay.
Well, and yeah, good grief. Yeah. Mitch we both have side hustles that burn lots of diesel fuel. So yeah, I get it, man. It's not cheap to get to these things, but hey, a little bit of cash definitely helps with that. So,
definitely.
well, hey, thank you again for joining us tonight. And congratulations, women's champion, BTR champion, third place in Pro Light. I mean, what an
ProAM short track.
Yeah, champion. Yeah. I mean, just an amazing, amazing season, Melissa. So, one last thing are we going to move more into the Pro-Am classes next year? We're going to keep with what we got. What are you thinking about for 24?
Yeah, so I totally have not thought about it yet.
Okay,
but
hey, that's okay. The last episode, Landon Williams was on here with us, and he was trying to break news, and I had to stop him. I said, "Listen, man, with this pod, we don't break news; we report on the news." And so he's like,
gotcha.
"Okay, so if we don't need to break the news right now, that's okay. We'll catch you at the beginning of the season."
Yeah, no, it's nothing deep. Of course, I want to move up, and I think I don't know what better time is there than now. So we'll see what happens when I sign up on the first race.
That's what I'm talking about.
You got the right mentality, Mel. I like it.
Yeah, just fearless. Well, again, Melissa Torchio, thank you so much for jumping on with us here. I know it's late where you are, and thanks for giving us some time tonight.
Thanks for having me again, guys.